This is Divine Lifestyles with Tara Magalski. What is a divine lifestyle? Passion, purpose, and living in alignment with your truth. Thank you for tuning into Divine Lifestyles, feeding your spirit, mind, and body. I am your host, Tara Magalski, and our show is all about highlighting stories that can educate, inspire, and transform. And today's guest is a very special fellow shiro, Kelsey Wong, and she is one of the co-founders of the Shiro movement. And I met her at the Higher Purpose Project this summer, and she blew me away. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Kelsey, just thank you so much for being here and being my guest. And I'm super excited for you to tell everybody a little bit what is behind the Shiro movement.
Thank you so much for having me, Tara. In regards to the Shiro movement, it kind of started out of, it actually really came out of this moment of play. I was at Burning Man celebrating a friend of mine who had just passed, and he really exuded so much joy, and he really had this truly free spirit. And so a couple female friends of mine just went out that night and just roaming around and really like howling into the night and feeling super free and liberated and just connected. And we started calling ourselves the Shiros that very night. And then when I went to Our Powers Combined, the Higher Purpose Project in Boston, it came out again because it was all about finding your own superhero. And I was surrounded by so many powerful human beings, and including yourself. And in moments they would talk about heroes and our teams and our aliases and our powers. And I just thought, what about the Shiros, right?
Mm-hmm,
what about the Lady Shiros? And so that's kind of where it was inspired. But it was just, you can just feel it when you're around a fellow Shiro. You can feel yourself when you are just, your energy is super high, and you feel like you're in a sense of flow with yourself and the universe. And I think that I really want to highlight women who are, or all of us want to highlight at the Shiro movement, want to highlight emerging leaders, especially female leaders who are truly making an impact. I call it the new ROI, right? The ripple of impact. So yeah, that's what Shiro movement means to me.
Oh, so awesome. The moment that I met you, when we were going around that circle and we all had to share, I said, I was immediately drawn to you. So I just want to talk about that a little bit, and then talk about the journey of how you are now working in delivering happiness, and you finally found your home and your tribe. And you said something, and you said, it used to be really hard for me to experience joy. And it really, really struck me, because I also felt the very same way. And I felt like I had to fight a lot in my life to be happy. But I always felt like I was born to be happy. But there was so much turmoil and dysfunction in my childhood that I had to really fight for that. And I believe it's part of my mission is to share with everyone that it is your birthright to feel free and to feel joy. So could you just tell us a little bit about what was going on for you in your life during that time?
Yes. So just to kind of share a little bit. So when we did that circle, and it was, what's one thing most people don't know about you? I immediately thought of, it's kind of one of my biggest vulnerabilities, that I haven't been able to experience joy. And even though I work now for a company that's called Delivering Happiness, so that sounds very counterintuitive, and people don't believe me, which is why, and they sense that I'm such a happy, joyful person now. But I wasn't always that way. And I think I agree with you that I think naturally, we're born miracles and we're born divine. And, but I think that sometimes it's your environment, it's unconscious behaviors, it's your parents, it's society, it's all these things that affect you. And for me, it was, so I grew up in a Chinese American household, and I wouldn't go so far to say that my mom is a tiger mom, but she wants the best for her children, as all parents do. And now I can say that I understand where she was coming from, or at least more so, and I see that it was just her love, and the expression of it was I didn't understand. But at the time, um, she was fairly unhappy, and so anytime that I would experience joy or happiness, um, consciously or unconsciously, she would make me feel guilty for it. Kind of put my experience down, or I would basically try to hide any kind of joy I was having. I would hide it, or try to like shroud it and make it sound not as great. Anytime I got excited, I tried to like scale back my excitement right away. And I think, you know, at least in some households, it's like there's some households that are really open to you coloring outside of the lines, and there's others who really want you to stay inside the like very defined lines that they've created for you. And even though my mom is very creative and she's inspired a lot of creativity in me, she was still like a color in between the lines parent. And so that lack of joy also kind of transcended to love, right? Because love and joy are interconnected. And I had a lot of issues with her, which is actually primarily why when I graduated, I left my hometown, and I moved, and it was primarily for that reason. And I wanted to get, you know, away from that turmoil. And so yeah, I don't even think I really realized at the time. I just knew I was unhappy, and I would cry a lot, and I was that. I didn't know who I was. I wasn't an evolved, conscious person. I was limited. And so I guess, yeah.
So what do you think it was? Was there a moment of a catalyst moment for that transformation for you, where you started to see the world differently?
Yes, I think so. So it wasn't until a few years later when I was in college, you know, I fell in love for the first time, and also got my heart broken for the first time. And that was something that I had promised myself I would never, like, that would never happen to me, because my parents had been divorced, and I was like, I'm an independent woman. I don't cry over boys. That's not who I am.
We all go through that at some point, right? We get hurt at some point, and we're like, this is never happening again.
Yeah. I used to watch like First Wives Club all the time, and I was like, that will never happen to me. But it did, and it hurt, and it took me about 2 years to move on. And I actually fell into like the state of depression, and I'll never forget. It was January 1st, 2014. I was on. So it's the first day of the new year. I was in San Carlos, Mexico, and with some friends celebrating, and we were on this beach, and it was a deserted beach. We thought that would be fun. And we got our car stuck in the sand, and it was like deserted. So no one was there, and we're like, we couldn't get out. And we just thought, oh my God, this is not a good sign. We're stuck in the sand on the first day of the new year. That can't be good. And long story short, this woman and her husband and their dog came up, and they were in this Suburban, which was great because there were 6 of us in this car, which doesn't fit anyway. And they saved us. They took us to, and like we didn't have cell reception. We were in Mexico, so we weren't able to contact anyone. But they saved us, took us home. And the woman in the car, she told me about what she did, and she did this holistic healing practice called biofeedback. And she was talking about it, and I just remember thinking, like, I need to see you. I need to see you. And it turns out she traveled between, you know, Phoenix, California, and New Mexico, and I lived in Phoenix at the time. So I started seeing her, and I remember the first time we had a session, it was two things. It was one, the heartbreak, but it was two, my relationship with my mother. And I learned how to forgive and feel compassion, how to set boundaries, all these really important life tools that I had never been taught before. Um, and I remember, like, that first time that we had that session, I remember after she left, I just cried in the shower. And um, it just changed my life forever.
Wow. Do you still work with her?
I do. So it's almost been 5 years now. I see her kind of sporadically, like once a month or once every 2 months. And many of my friends see her. My boyfriend sees her.
She's everyone's therapist now.
Yeah, but
No, I know.
what I love about her is that she gave us the tools. She gave me the tools that I needed. I mean, the sessions themselves are super powerful, but how to forgive, the actual act of that, I had never been familiar with that concept, and I also wasn't in touch with any sense of spirituality, and she really encouraged me to explore that.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Now, what do you think would have happened if you hadn't met her? Like, why do you think that time was so important that it had to happen right now?
I think that time was really, really important for me because my priorities were in a totally mismatched order. Um, I felt valued and loved by my like exterior. So the way I was really into fashion marketing at the time and fashion design, and that's who I thought I wanted to be. Not that I think that that's an amazing creative act, but I wanted it for the wrong reasons. I wanted to feel special. I wanted to feel. That's how I expressed myself, and that was the only way. And I would work and I would buy things. That was my life, and I also felt like I had a cloud around me all the time, and so having absolutely zero joy was would have devastated me. I don't think that I would be making the impact that I have today. I think I would still be unhappy. I think that I would be on a prescribed path because that's where I was headed.
Yeah. That really, really speaks to me because before I had my moment that I believe was my awakening, which was my mother's death, I was acting full time and I thought that I was going to move to LA. I was just into feature films. I thought this was going to be my life. And I wasn't doing it with the wisdom or the grounding that I would do with it today. So I always say to myself, if I ended up in LA when I was 26, 27 years old, I could have ended up like Lindsay Lohan. Because my values, my core values and my priorities were upside down. And, it would have been devastating. So sometimes God, the universe, the divine has ways of just putting things in your track so you can get back into alignment with what you're here to do. So I believe that, you're exactly where you need to be. I was supposed to meet you and I'm supposed to help share your story. And you're supposed to be delivering happiness because you understand that on a deeper level. And I love it. I love when those little miracles happen and things fall into alignment. So tell me a little bit about delivering happiness and what you're doing within that community.
Absolutely. So I found delivering happiness when I started studying my passionate curiosity. So that's when your head and your heart, your head and your heart are intertwined, and you're not only doing what you care about, but you're also putting your energy towards what you wonder about. And after meeting Sally, the woman I just described, I also met somebody named Tom, who has this course called Ignite that helps you identify your passionate curiosity. And at the time, I realized finally that I wanted to do something that made an impact, but I didn't know what that meant. And I didn't have the vocabulary or the knowledge or even the network or the community to really support that exploration. And so he helped me tap in and really understand that it's conscious, connected communities, and even bigger than that, movements that I'm really, really passionately curious about. And so, long story short, I started studying these movements, and one of them was delivering happiness. And I was just really, really inspired by their story. In business, it's pretty gutsy to adopt a different set of principles and to use happiness as your business model. Like that sounds like a luxury, and maybe it is in some ways, but I don't really believe that. I think that happiness, and the way I see it, is a state of contentment, and even more than happiness is bliss. And if you can feel those things at work through your sense of progress, flow, connectedness, like you're putting all of your energy there anyways. Why wouldn't you want that to contribute to something greater?
And you'll be more productive, right?
Absolutely.
And I say that a lot with health. It's like, if you're not healthy, you're not going to have a lot of energy to be productive. And especially if you have a demanding job, you want it to be so fun and playful that, it's not work. Because when you're feeling like it's work, it's such a drag. And you're never going to be productive, and you're never going to produce. So I feel like every CEO, thank God to the Tony Hsiehs of the world that get it, they need to learn these principles, and they need to make sure that they're happy and healthy. Their employees are happy and healthy.
Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin. Absolutely.
Right.
So with delivering happiness, it's interesting because, and I just share this because when you follow your passionate curiosity, it's interesting because all the things that you think you're just learning for you and that are just, I'm just interested, those are actually really meaningful. And those can become, your expertise in a certain area. And I remember my affirmation was like, I am paid to be myself. Like, I work for a global movement. I activate future leaders, and I actually created a vision board, which is behind me.
Ooh, show us.
A total interesting part. So you mentioned actually.
I love it.
So I have a mirror right in the middle because I learned from another mentor that it's really important to see yourself in your vision. And that's really key. I used to just use a board, and it wasn't really working. But I have all these affirmations, like I am in partnership with the universe. I have all that I need within me to be successful and happy in life.
I love that. I love that you put a mirror, because I'm doing mine as well. And there's a spot right in the middle. So yes. I'm going to put a mirror.
Yes. But I just wanted to share. So this is kind of the movement that I see, being in different places. And then this is kind of a secret, but Jen, so she's the CEO of Delivering Happiness. And I was so inspired by her and that I cut her out and I put her in my vision board. And in the office that I was going to work in, in San Francisco. And so now she is my boss, and we were actually just texting yesterday and having like this amazing philosophical conversation via text while she's traveling the world. And I'm just like, how is this my life? It's kind of goes to that Marianne Williamson quote, like, who am I to be bright? Who am I to be joyful? Who am I going to be this hero? But then she says, who are you not to be? Like by you not shining, it's a disservice.
Exactly. It's a disservice for you not to share your gifts, your unique gifts in the world.
Absolutely.
That woman blows my mind. I just can't wait to meet her, because that's what it's about. It is such a shame. And this is why we've got to do the Shiro Movement Festival. That is next. But
Absolutely.
So let me just talk about a little bit about what you're doing now every day to stay on this positive path that you've now created. You know, you fought so hard to get there. How do you stay committed to this healthier way of being?
That's a really good question. That's actually what Jen and I were just talking about over the weekend is how do you stay centered, especially when you live a busy lifestyle, you're ambitious, you're traveling, and there's all of these external things that kind of, while exciting, can also be distracting and take you away from you. And especially if you're a giver, if you're always giving, then and you're not giving to yourself first, like that's when I find that I'm the most out of balance. And for me, it's like you really have to know what fills you. And you really have to know yourself. So that's what I mean. Like, you have to know yourself. You know, Socrates says, know thyself. And I really believe if you don't know yourself, how will you know the world? And unfortunately, there isn't a class that's like Terra 101 that's taught when you're little or throughout your life. Or, you know, it's not for anybody. And so we have to take it upon ourselves in this like university of the universe to really tap in and learn and be curious about yourself. Like, I think then it can be seen, or people perceive it, or at least I used to, as it being selfish to like spend so much time to getting to know yourself. But I just really feel, you know, I believe in this ripple of impact, and I believe change starts with you. And I also believe there's so many people who want to change the world, and I think that's awesome. But if you don't know who you are, then how are you going to get there? And if you're not willing to change anything. So for me, what fills me, I every morning I actually open my door windows to the view, and I can show you really quickly. It's a little foggy right now,
but it's beautiful.
But I take a look around, I take it in. What's that? Oh, and then I stretch, I do some meditation and prayer, and I like to try to create as early in the morning as possible. So the first 2 hours of my day are dedicated to my creation, whatever I'm inspired by that day, and then I do my top priority for whatever that day is, so that I just knock it out early. I do my best to do that every morning. You know, when I'm traveling, I learned that you have to bring something that grounds you. So what I bring is I have this little like mason jar of lavender that my mom brought me from France, and it just brings me to like that state of peace. And I don't know, I love to write and like I said, create. I love cooking. I love that whole process, and that's what fills me. And that's what I do for me. And I think it's important for everyone to know what they do for themselves.
Yeah. So let's just get a little bit more specific with that. How do you feed your spirit? How do you feed your mind? And then how do you feed your body?
It's a great question. I feel like that's a really good one. How do I feed my spirit? For me, that's writing. I love writing, and a lot of times it's like writing and sketching kind of intermixed. I feel like that kind of expression, if I don't get it out and it's just building, it's like a pile of laundry that you just haven't cleared out, and it just builds. So I think it's really important to express yourself, and some people do share it with their best friend, or with their dog, or with with nature outside, and I do it through writing. And it's actually really cool, like later on, to read through the things that I've written and how I felt, because I instantly go back to that moment. How do I feed my heart? Is that what the question?
Your mind.
Oh, my mind. Well, I love to learn. So, I especially love it when I'm connecting with another really like conscious, super cool human being who's just I love the art of conversation, and my strengths finder input and intellection are two of the top. And so when those two combine, both like expression and sharing um, your intellectual like findings and your curiosities, like that is very, very stimulating for me. And I feel, I read too, and I'll listen to, different podcasts, but I feel like when I'm really having a conversation where I feel like nothing else matters except for this moment, my brain is just like firing on all cylinders.
Totally agree. That's why I love interviewing people because I'm like, oh my God, oh wow, wow. I love to read as well, but really having that one-on-one connection with someone is really what excites me as well. Okay, so now your spirit.
Or I think it was my body.
Oh, your body. You're right.
So I love to cook. My mom is a really amazing chef, and growing up, I wasn't very into it. I think because that was her thing. And now that I've lived on my own for like 10 years. I just love like making new recipes all the time. So right now I'm doing slow carb, which is no white food, no sweets, no alcohol. I mean, like for 6 days, and that's actually pretty easy for me because I don't eat gluten and I don't eat sweets or caffeine. So that's fine. The only hard thing is growing up, I love rice and I love
Yeah.
cheese, and those are two things that have been difficult, but I feel so much better. I love finding new recipes. Like last night, I made this Balinese chicken that was soaked in like coconut milk,
Ooh.
and I made it with kelp noodles and it's called sambal. It's a sauce, a spicy sauce. Never made that before. Never had kelp noodles before. It was awesome. I just had so much fun. So I feed my body in that way, very, very specifically. And then of course I love to stretch and I love to run. So
Awesome. So tell me what's next for you for the Shiro movement, delivering happiness. What's coming up? What projects are you working on?
well, I mean, in a greater picture, I feel like things are really coming together. Because of delivering happiness, I've been able to meet so many leaders of different movements, whether it's, the kindness movement or the compassion movement or the empathy movement. And all of these qualities that really, I think, combine to create like a true Shiro. Like, I feel that these are life skills and qualities that, in order to be a whole and complete person, that we must have. So that's really exciting, like overall, specifically how things are coming together for me. So 2015 is near approaching, and we have a lot of plans at Delivering Happiness. I mean, we're definitely trying to focus more and be more of a spotlight rather than a glow. We were kind of glowing all over the place, which is great, but it wasn't concentrated. And so we're really, really trying to focus on sustaining delivering happiness as a business so that we can put all of our profits and proceeds towards the movement, towards fueling the larger community efforts. And I'm the community captain, so that is exciting to me. And it's kind of it's this whole notion of like, put your own air mask on first before you help others. And that's kind of what Delivering Happiness is doing right now. In December, we're doing something called Creative Week, and the theme is giving forward, how to give sustainably and create a ripple of impact. So I'm really excited to be bringing together 30 people. I know that you've been to one before, 30 movers and shakers from around the globe to
Awesome.
just, yeah, to activate and to
Activate,
connect.
think tank,
Yep.
explore, play. It's awesome.
And then of course we'll be building and pulling things together for the Shira movement, and I'm really excited for that. I think it's going to be a culmination of all of the collaborators and the co-founders, all of our strengths combined, all our powers combined. And I think that it like they say, everything you've done up until this moment has led you to what you're doing now, and you need all those lessons, and that's also what happiness is about, right? It's like, how can I see every thing that comes my way as an opportunity for growth, as a lesson, And when you have that attitude, um, like you're unstoppable. So
Because you're always moving forward. And it's interesting. My coach says it's not about perfection, it's just progress. Just get up every day and put one foot in front of the other and move towards that goal. Like I told you earlier, I was filming and I might have lost some files. Great, but I realized, what, I'll probably learn how to recover them and I need to learn this. So rather than getting really down about it, I'm like, you know what, keep moving forward.
Yep.
And it's one step at a time. So on that note, for anyone who's listening, who's struggling, someone who's struggling with finding their passion, their purpose, their divine lifestyle, someone who's really struggling to live alignment within their truth, do you have any simple tips for them or any advice you can offer?
I'm sorry, what was the last part? Any advice?
Oh, we got a little Wi-Fi. So if someone is listening that's having a really hard time finding that, because it's not easy to find your passion, your purpose. Sometimes you're really confused and you think it's a bunch of different things and you're not really sure. Do you have any simple tools or tips that you use that someone can implement even as a daily practice?
Well, I do have something that I've created. It's called the Dream Job worksheet or description. And for me, that's not really something that you might implement into your daily practice, but it's something that I've used in any type of transition that I'm making. Just because I really believe that people will always ask you what you do. And so if that's the case, then I think what you do should speak to who you are. And if you're finding out who you are and you're finding out what you want to do, those are always in tandem, right? And so I created this worksheet so that people could start exploring what makes them come alive. And I think for me, the first time that I even did it and created it, it was like I didn't really know. So it basically combines like 3 of your kind of passion or major interest areas, and then you create examples for all those. So it's really having you take a deeper look into your own passionate curiosity. And I would be happy to share that with anybody who wants it, or share it with you, Tara, and you can share it. But then in regards to like your daily practice, one thing that I do every single day that's really small and easy is I do something with my partner, my boyfriend, and we do top 3. So at the end of the day, when we're going to bed, we share what were our top 3 for the day. So it can be anything, but just what were the 3 highlights? What were 3 moments that you really felt joy? And sometimes we also do like 1 gratitude, but it's usually the top 3. And I think that really helps to close your day, especially if you're like me and your mind is constantly running, and sometimes it's hard to like quiet down your like eternal racehorse that just like wants to create more every single day. And so this helps calm me, and it also makes me feel like I accomplished, or like not accomplished success-wise, but like that I felt a full day and now it's complete and now I can close it. And it's exciting. It's exciting to hear, especially if, with somebody you love, what was their moment, because sometimes we don't share when we've had these really special moments. So
yeah, it's like your gratitude practice, right? I love it. So I would love for you to share that dream job worksheet, and then please let anyone who's watching or listening know where they can find you online, follow you online, and possibly even reach out to you if they have any questions.
Absolutely. I have a personal site. It's kelseykwong.com for anyone who is interested to learn more about me. And then also there's, of course, deliveringhappiness.com. But my personal email address is hi at kelseykwong.com. And you're welcome to reach out to me for any questions, especially about kind of following your truth and designing a lifestyle that's your own. So thank you so much for having me here. It's been amazing. You are like a superstar, and I'm just really grateful that our stars aligned.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for taking the time to just come on and tell us about your story. I knew when I met you that you and I were going to be working together. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe to this channel to get your weekly fix for all you spiritual gangsters. Any questions or comments, go to my site at taramagalski.com. Drop me a note. I'd love to hear from you. And stay tuned for next week. I got the good stuff.